So I'd listened back to the last 2 or 3 episodes of the podcast and I realized that every single opening sounds depressing as fuck. And I don't mean for that. Just recapping my week during the holiday season, it's stressful. And stress on top of depressing ass horror influenced sounds really doesn't create the vibe that I wanted them to create. So I said, fuck it. We ditching that for the time being. We gonna embrace the metal and hardcore side of that because that is a very important part of my life and I feel like I don't talk about it enough on the podcast. And what better time to debut the new opening backing track than for the episode part 2 of 68, where we talk about metal and hardcore and everything heavy. We have a couple questions left to answer. I wasn't fitting everything on that last one, but we have a lot of music to talk about and a couple favorites to talk about and some shows to plug. So if you are a fan of the metal side of things, boy, howdy do I have a show for you. Jam-packed as shit. So get a notepad, get a piece of paper, get a pen, prepare to write some of these bands down because you are going to want to do a deep dive into all this shit. It feels kind of odd talking about heavy music and I'm sitting here and I got Snoopy pants on and I got a curvy sweatshirt on and I'm standing back and forth in my room as my cat sleeps behind me. Just peak comfiness, but whatever. We're making the most of a rainy morning. We're getting all nice and cozy and unwinding before we get ready for the Kilmurray Killer Christmas Party tonight at the Spot in Nashua, New Hampshire. It is jam-packed. There's going to be hip-hop. There's going to be karaoke. There's going to be good hangs, great drinks, great food. It's going to be an awesome time. But I have some shit to talk about. And you got some shit that you need to listen to. So once again, I'm asking you to grab your drinks, grab your food, eat your breakfast, fucking sit down, nice comfy chair, whatever you need to get comfortable. And we're about to kill some fucking time. Let's go.
What you doing, son?
Nothing. Just chilling. Killing.
True.
Andy,
You have summoned me from the lab. I grant you 3 wishes.
I wish you had legs.
Why, thank you. Using one of your wishes on me.
I wish you were paralyzed from the waist down.
What?
I wish you weren't a genie.
What have you done?
I like candy.
Sometimes I just be playing shit for the fuck of it. There actually wasn't a lot of new music that I found out about this morning or that I knew that was coming out this week. However, there was things that came out earlier this week and things that came out last week that I completely forgot about or overlooked. So we're going to talk about some of that shit. But first, we have one remaining question from last week. And it's a great way to branch right into the music topic. And that is, who are some of your favorite local bands? And can you showcase a couple shows that are coming up? Of course I can. That comes from my buddy Matt from Quick Before the Outbreak. I used to book his band back in 2012. Long before his band took a little break and came back better and tighter than ever before. I just recently reconnected with him at a show at the Bungalow Bar and Grill in Manchester. And dude, it was like catching up with like your best friend. We missed no steps. We reconnected immediately and just talking about all these bands that used to be around back in the day, how none of them are around anymore, things that we hope to accomplish in the next year or two. It was great catching up. So of course I'll showcase a couple of my favorite local bands in the scene going right now. I'd love to do that for you, bud. I think in this current moment, my most listened to and favorite local band in the scene is a band called Geary. Geary is the heaviest post-rock band I have ever heard, featuring members of Next to Fall, Actor Observer, and Shot Heard Around the World. I saw them back in 2017 at the Bungalow, actually, and I had no idea how to pronounce their name. I had no idea who was in the band, and I had no idea what the sound was. But I talked to the guy at the door, and he was like, yeah, I love these dudes. They are just a wall of sound. The heaviest band in New England, in his opinion. And I was like, oh, so they must be like deathcore, just breakdowns galore. Okay, I'm down with that. I'm in that mood. And then I saw it, I'm like, I get it. I get it. They got big ass amps and shit. They have such a commanding sound, and not a word is spoken. Their instruments do the talking for them. And I'm a big post-rock fan, just didn't expect them to be post-rock. So when I heard what they were, I was like, bro, I am fucking in. And their album Ikigai is one of my favorite albums of the last 10 years. So yeah, they're gonna consistently be up there for me. Another band that I absolutely adore from the scene is, my opinion, the heaviest band in New England. They are known by the name Blood Tithe. I've talked about them a couple times on this podcast, but, you know, I got some new listeners recently, so it's time for me to talk about them again. They are death metal, deathcore, all that shit, but they are masterful at what they do, because they do not sound just like every other death metal or deathcore band. They have that unique heaviness, where the writing and aggression are raw as fuck, but the production is crisp and as clean as can be. It doesn't sound overproduced, it seems perfectly produced. And with their brand of heaviness, it's like finding a needle in a haystack, because that shit is rare as fuck. Normally you have to suffer on one end to get the peak on the other end, and this one is perfectly equal across the board. And then the writing is just crazy good too. I feel like I'm getting spoiled whenever I listen to Blood Tithe. So do yourself a favor, if you have not checked them out on Spotify, on YouTube, anywhere you stream your music. Blood Tithe. And lastly, I'm not just saying this band as a way to branch to the next subject, because I mean this with my whole heart. Iron Gate are those fucking dudes, okay? Their sound is that perfect balance between deathcore and hardcore, where it's just enough breakdowns and darkness while not losing any of the integrity from the hardcore side of things. Like, hardcore fans can fuck with Iron Gate just as easy as deathcore fans will fuck with Iron Gate. And I know fans of each of them, they don't see eye to eye very often. So while possessing that very rare feat, and also just being comprised as a bunch of really nice, super supportive, solid dudes, Iron Gate is definitely at the top of that list when it comes to favorite local bands. And while those guys might be the fucking dudes, sometimes bad things happen to great people. And Iron Gate, as well as a couple other bands that we are close with over here, went through a tragedy that most musicians have nightmares about. And their practice spot, recording spot, hangout spot burnt down about 2 weeks ago, I believe, ruining so much equipment. And if it wasn't the fire, it was the water damage from the insane amount of snow and hoses that went out to put the fucking fire out, resulting in a lot of lost recordings for the studio that was there and lost instruments and memorabilia for the band Iron Gate. So if you are hearing this in time, this Sunday at Bad Burger in Manchester, New Hampshire, a benefit show will be held for Iron Gate, as well as other bands and other people affected by the burning down of this building. Acts include Southgate, My Boys and TFR, Bambino, Lanterns, Fold, and Jesse Rudstein, who is another artist that recorded at that studio that burnt down. Doors are at 6:30, shows at 7, $20 entry, but all entry goes to the bands affected. There will also be a giant 20-plus band holiday festival happening at Bungalow Bar and Grill December 27th. So if you're free for that, definitely head out to that. It is on the pricier side because there are so many bands involved in this, but one of those bands are Iron Gate. So if you cannot make it to the show this Sunday to support Iron Gate, please make it out to December 27th at the Bungalow Bar and Grill in Manchester to support those dudes themselves. Face to face, witness how good that fucking band is and support the rest of the local scene. I'm sure that they are going to have their new Vine Street Fire Iron Gate t-shirt that just came out. They did a lot of pre-orders for them, but they should have some on hand. So please make it out to that show. Buy merch from them. Give them a tip. Give them some words of inspiration. And definitely check them out because those dudes are the fucking guys and they deserve your undying support.
What's the most magical place in New York?
For me, Jersey Mike's.
Thoughts about my favorite bands? I even did some plugs. Now it's time to get to that recent shit, baby! Some fucking fire came out this week, but also some crappy little stinkers came out too. I'll let you know which one's which. Breaking Waves is the new track by Brighton, UK-based band Chalk Hands. This song blew me away because of that perfect middle ground between bands like Balancing Composure and more raw-sounding post-hardcore bands like The Exploration. They got the vibes of old-school post-hardcore, like that old emo stuff with that dissonant, distant, hallway shouting vocal style. And then they got the noodly guitars. It's kind of a Midwest emo sound. But then overall, it's just like a heavier explosions in the sky at times. It's just that, I don't want to keep saying this, but it's that perfect blend of so many things where nothing takes away from anything. It all just adds to this perfect amalgamation of sound. I've listened to maybe 10 of their songs before, and I have yet to hear a bad one. So if you're looking for new music, and this little teaser I shared, I didn't want to do it too long. I don't want that copyright bullshit. If that pleased you, definitely do yourself a favor and deep dive Chalk Hands because it is incredible. Their new song, Breaking Waves, I give that shit a solid A. Mirror Touch is the new album by Los Angeles-based band Volumes. And I've been a fan of them for years, but I feel like ever since Different Animals came out in 2017, it hasn't been the same for them. Reaching some weird fucking plateau where everything just kind of gets progressively more and more mid. And I listened to this album. I listened to it yesterday while walking around the apartment, cleaning up some stuff and getting things done. And I was getting ready to just shit all over this album. But that was until I put in the headphones and realized just how much their little bass pumps that they have throughout this really kick in and set this apart from other things. Because without that bass part, everything seems flat. Everything seems just poop from a butt. Because I was listening to it on my little home Google speaker thing, and all I was hearing was just like, I was hearing the chugs, but everything seemed one note, one level, nothing dynamic, nothing special. And then you really see there are levels to it. You just have to have that bass behind it to make things pop. And now, what I originally wrote down, throw it all by the wayside. Fuck. There are some songs on this album that don't exactly seem like Volumes songs. But honestly, those are the best songs on the album. There is a track called Adrenaline, which is just a ballad. There's no screams, there's no wild guitars, I don't even think there's any chugs in it, really. Just actual guitar work and drums and singing, and that is the best song on the entire album. So sorry to say on a fucking metal and hardcore podcast that the least metal and hardcore song on the album is the best one, but it's true. It outshines literally everything else on this album by far. I was going to give this album like a C-, almost a D, but I'll give it a B-. I mean, it's nothing special, but it's definitely way better when you have headphones and you can hear all the distinctions between everything. There is a new track by the band Glassbone called Testimony of Death, featuring the vocalist from band called Fulci. Honestly, this is just what you get when you try to copy off somebody else's homework, but you have terrible vision, so you only get like a third of it. Because instrumentally, this kind of sounds like Suicide Silence, early Suicide Silence, but there's something off with the mix. The vocal mix just seems like ass. It's like they tried to do deathcore. They said, let's make it black metal influenced, and by that, we're just going to completely abandon anything that's going to make the vocals sound good. This is what happens if Mitch and the guys just go, okay, get this. Suicide Silence, but we're going to record it on an iPhone. And then everyone's like, sounds good to me, bro. They all clapped and I put it out there. I'm sure it's good to some people. But with and without headphones, I did not find this good at all. I'm sorry, Glassbone, but Testimony of Death is straight poop from a butt. If it was just instrumentals, I could get behind it. So I'm not going to give it like an F, but this is definitely like a C-. Sorry, bros. New track by the band Cast Down just dropped, featuring the vocalist of Pure Bliss, titled Fury. Now this song is right in your wheelhouse if you're a fan of the bands like Recon or Guns Up, that old school style hardcore from like the early 2000s. This shit is impeccable. Giving me flashbacks of when you get like the Sumerian Records fucking demo CDs, where it's like a compilation of some of their best bands and things people are putting out in the near future. I had a bunch of those for Victory Records. I had one of those for Sumerian Records. This just brings me back to that time. Even though this is 2025, I'm feeling this is 2010 all over again. This is one of those bands that if you have never seen them live before, just pop in your headphones and listen to a song and you can perfectly envision what seeing them live would be like. Because people would be going wild. Stage dives would be happening and people would be doing like karate spin kicks in the pit and getting elbows straight to the face. Hell, I might even choke slam a motherfucker through a merch table hearing this shit. This was God tier. And I honestly think this Cast Down song featuring the guy from Pure Bliss is my song of the week. I give this thing a solid A, but almost an A+. I feel like though it's really, really good, the hardcore side of things was very one-dimensional, and I wanted things to get mixed up a little bit, maybe add like different tempo changes and stuff like that. Maybe slow down the breakdown at one point to add the aggressiveness. I'm not mad for what I heard. I'm very much impressed. But, you know, in order to get an A+, every single thing needs to be ideal. It's almost there. But it's definitely the best song I've listened to that has come out in the last week. Cast Down, y'all fucking nailed it. Good shit. And that about wraps it up as far as new music goes. I have a couple things left to talk about before we end this shit, and I start heading off for my show tonight. And that is February 20th in Manchester, New Hampshire at Bungalow Bar and Grill. I'm back to booking shows, baby. because it's going to be half the world I was a part of, half the world I'm a part of right now. Half and half, rap and metal under one roof. Everybody loves a good mix show. Let's put that shit to the fucking test, because I got 4 rappers and I have some bands that are still on the waiting list, but we got some bands that are fucking incredible on it right now. Well, we got Ace Don, Animatronic the Abolisher, Cryptic, and myself, Kill Murray. And as far as bands go, we got Quick Before the Outbreak, my buddy Matt's band. They are back and they are better than ever. And we got new metal greats, Symposia. A couple other bands that we're waiting to get back from ASAP. But I know if everybody checks off, this one's going to be one for the fucking books. On top of that, next week on the podcast, it is the last episode of the year. And with that being said, we got some year-end things to talk about. Top albums, top movies, top matches, top moments, perhaps. On top of that, we also have some guests that are even coming by. We got J-Vibe, we got Graphite from Pens and Pencils, we got Dante the Rascal, and we got Blunt O'Keefe. They're going to tell us what some of their favorite albums were of the year, on top of what their favorite holiday movies are. Because Christmas, baby, and you know we gotta talk about that shit. I'm a big Christmas fan. You're probably a big Christmas fan. Unless you aren't, then I hope you fuck with Halloween or something cool like that. That episode is easily going to be the longest episode of the podcast since coming back from hiatus. And that is one of the main reasons why I decided to split this last episode up into 2 pieces. We're not doing 2-hour-plus content episodes back-to-back weeks. I can't do that shit. So next week, it's holiday episode, it's guest episode, it's year-end episode, and it's episode 69. Nice. I'll see you next week. Shit's gonna be jam-packed full of shit. Have a great night.